Lễ thăng chức Trung tá Quân y Đỗ Văn Nhẫn lên chức Đại tá, căn cứ quân sự Fort Myers, thành phố Falls, tiểu bang Virginia, ngày thứ Năm 14 tháng 6 2012. Trung tá Đỗ Văn Nhẫn là con của ông Đỗ Văn Hạnh khóa 18, võ bị Đà Lạt, và mẹ là nhà văn Thu Nga, giám đốc đài phát thanh 890 AM, cũng là đại diện SBTN ở Texas. Tốt nghiệp pre-med từ Đại học Baylor University năm 1990, Đỗ Văn Nhẫn hoàn thành bằng bác sĩ ngành Internal Medicine tại George Washington University ở Washington DC năm 1994 với chức vụ đại úy quân y. Năm 2000, được thăng cấp thiếu tá, rời Washington DC để lấy thêm bằng tại Đại học Stanford. Tốt nghiệp năm 2005, thuyên chuyển về Văn phòng Bộ Quốc phòng và được thăng cấp Trung tá Quân y năm 2006. Đầu 2010, Trung tá Quân y Đỗ Văn Nhẫn được phái sang Haiti để cứu trợ động đất trong toán 82nd Airborne. Và tháng 9 năm 2011, Trung tá Quân y Đỗ Văn Nhẫn cũng đã từng sang phục vụ tại Afghanistan trong 6 tháng. Hôm nay là buổi lễ gắn lon đại tá cho Trung tá Đỗ Văn Nhẫn, chính thức trở thành đại tá quân y trong quân lực Hoa Kỳ. Đây là niềm vui và vinh dự cho gia đình nhà văn Thu Nga cũng như ông Đỗ Văn Hạnh. Tiếp nối lý tưởng tự do dân chủ và bước chân phụ thân là cựu sinh viên sĩ quan võ bị quốc gia Việt Nam. Buổi lễ thăng chức đại tá cho Trung tá Quân y Đỗ Văn Nhẫn còn có sự hiện diện danh dự của đại tá Tom Ellison và đại tá Gary Wheeler.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joe Gamaz, and it's my honor and pleasure to be able to be your Master of Ceremonies for this special event. I was actually the Master of Ceremony for Dr. Doe's promotion ceremony to Lieutenant Colonel in 2006. So, again, this is an honor. Today, the men and women of the U.S. Army's Office of the Surgeon General, in keeping with the time-honored traditions of military service, recognize the promotion of Lieutenant Colonel Young Doe to the rank of Colonel. The presiding official for today's ceremony is Colonel Gary Wheeler, Chief Information Officer, Army Medical Department. I would also like to recognize our distinguished visitors for today's ceremony. Young's wife, Kimberly, and their children, Mark, Stephanie, Andrew, and Alexander. Young's parents, Han and Tina Doe. Kimberly's parents, Carl and Katie Herman, and Kim's brother and wife, Kip and Rhoda Herman. Thank you all for coming today. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the front for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem and invocation. The national anthem will be played by Miss Jong In So, who is a freshman at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. She is also a former member of the Lego robotic team that Dr. Doe had coached for 3 years. The invocation will be delivered by Colonel John Allison, the Department of Medicine Chief at Fort Belvoir Community Hospital.
Please bow with me in prayer. All-powerful and almighty Lord our God, we humbly come before you with grateful hearts for all the blessings that you give us each and every day. Our families, friends, loved ones, and the chance to make a meaningful difference in the lives of the men and women of the armed services. We are gathered here today to recognize young Doe, who has demonstrated the knowledge, wisdom, and skills to be promoted to the rank of colonel. May he always remember that ultimately it is from you that all good things come, our blessings and prosperity. Give him the wisdom to carry out the duties assigned to him. Help him to be a great leader, inspiring those around him to excel. As a physician, he is a healer. Give him the clinical skills, insight, and compassion to comfort and heal the sick. Finally, Lord, you know Colonel Young Doe is a man after your own heart. As his Lord and Savior, bless and prepare him for the responsibilities ahead, and help him to face the challenges and adversities that will come his way. May you be glorified in everything that he does. We pray all of this in your Son's holy and righteous name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our presiding official, Colonel Gary Wheeler.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. It's truly a privilege to preside over this, to see really the results of potential realized in the part of the promotion of young Doe from lieutenant colonel to colonel. I've had the privilege of being a card-carrying member of the Young Doe fan for 12 years now. Young and I first met, hard to believe, in 2000 now, as I made my way out to Madigan, and Young was the assistant chief of the internal medicine service there. And it became readily apparent to me as the incoming chief that really he was my right-hand man. He knew what was going on. He knew all the growth that had happened, and there had been very rapid growth over a period of a short number of years in the population of that clinic. And Young really was and is the picture of quiet competence. That's just how Young is. Always calm, always supremely confident, and one couldn't help but notice that in the back hallway of the internal medicine clinic at Madigan Army Hospital, that there was an endless stream through his door of folks knocking and asking how things should be. And Young was at the time, and continued to be, really that reference of true north for that clinic. An excellent physician. He actually trained there at Madigan after completing his physician training, his doctorate of medicine at George Washington. And more than that, he seemed to be making things better. So over the course of the couple of years while we were there, it was clear that things were getting better largely on his shoulders. A couple examples, if I might share them with you. So we struggle with things. Medicine's a complex business, and there are times when you need better processes to do what you're doing. An example of that is you call your doctor. You need to leave a message with them. You do it through the phone. And we had a method of doing it, but it was clear that Madigan did it a little differently. And when I talked to the nurse who took all the phone calls, I said, wow, that's pretty neat how you do that. You take these phone calls very dutifully, and you get them to the right people. How does that happen? Well, Dr. Doe wrote this program. Really? Tell me about that. Well, you know, he saw that there was a problem, and he wrote a program, and the whole of the clinic does it this way. And as you looked from nurse triage to phone consults to peer review, he was quietly and almost single-handedly automating that clinic in a way that really the enterprise had not been able to do up until then. It came to be known to me in the course of our time there that he was interested in pursuing that in a more formal fashion. He approached me a couple years into our time mutually there and said, you know, I think I want to train in this thing called clinical informatics. And I want to go to this place called Stanford to do it. And so it was with a heavy heart that we endorse that path before him, and he set out on a new and different path for him and his family. Really, potential realized. I asked Young at one point during our time, tell me about yourself. How did you end up in uniform? How did you end up at Madigan? How did you end up being in the Army? And again, the picture of quiet confidence and humility, really, I think his family knows well, but those who work with him would never know that Young didn't speak a lick of English until he got here as a young boy from Southeast Asia, where times were hard for his family and a lot of people there. And really, I think for a lot of us who come from backgrounds not necessarily starting in this country, but to have that common path of opportunity before us. Really, Young, I said I was a card-carrying member of the Young Doe fan club. Really, I think he has been, as much as anyone I know, able to take advantage of the opportunities of this country as for all of us, and it's been a privilege to work with him. From his informatics fellowship, he's done great things. He's worked at the TRICARE Management Agency, where he's forwarded enterprise-class solution sets, and now from pretty humble beginnings in a small clinic 10 or 12 years ago, really now is changing all of Army medicine for the better by helping with bringing enterprise-class tools and enterprise-wide solution sets to bear. So from a professional standpoint, it's been really a privilege to work with him all of these years. They say that nothing marks the passage of time like big events, a birth, a funeral, a graduation. I think promotions have to rank up there, if you will, with those major life events. It is so hard to believe that when I first met the Does that Patrick was 3 and Stephanie was crawling in diapers, and Andrew and Alexander weren't even a glimmer in their mother's eye yet. And to watch their family grow and mature and really fully realize the potential that is before them has been really a true privilege. I'm grateful for the time that we've had together, both professionally and personally. I'm still fond in memory of trips to Westport to go crabbing with our kids, and other outings that we've had as mutual friends and families. And it's with terrific pleasure and honor that I preside over this ceremony today.
Attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Army, has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Lieutenant Colonel Young V. Doe. In view of these qualities and his demonstrated potential for increased responsibility, he is therefore promoted to the grade of Colonel, United States Army, effective June 16, 2012, by order of the Secretary of the Army. Will Lieutenant Colonel Doe's children please come forward? Lieutenant Colonel Doe's children will participate in changing the rank on the blouse.
Thank you, Colonel Wheeler and Colonel Allison and my friends and colleagues. Thank you for finding the time to, in your schedule, to be here with my family and me. And thank you to the Vietnamese community and all the support and the well wishes that you've given me. Thank you, Joe and Major Williams, for putting the ceremony together. Promotion ceremonies, I think, are opportunities where we kind of reflect about our career and where we're at and how we got here, and the time to kind of thank all those who got us here. I said 18 years ago, I have to say that I did not wake up one day and decided to make a career out of the Army. In 2001, I had fulfilled my 4 years of obligation from the medical school. We had 2 children at the time, and we had all the excitement of trying to start a new life in the civilian world. Right? But then 9/11 happened. Like many others, this event has really changed our perspective about what the future world will be like for us and for our children. We had to give some really serious consideration to what a life of selfless service actually means. And so a few days later, I think my wife came to me. My wife, who's one who's so eager and ready to leave the Army, basically said, I don't think we can leave the Army. The world has changed. So our personal needs and goals were no longer as important anymore. So I remember her buying the Army's wife handbook, and she read it from cover to cover. But unfortunately, she soon learned that it's easier to learn what all the protocols are than trying to figure out what to do with a leaking roof and the ice on the driveway during the snowstorm while I was in Haiti. Right? And much easier than trying to figure out what to do with all these feisty teenagers who had to be in multiple places at one time. So she had to kind of figure out how to juggle, her career and how to manage this large household. So I don't think I would have been here without her. But to go back even further to see why do I even consider the Army in the first place, I think I have to thank my father. My father had been an officer in the Vietnamese Army. If you look at the Army value, right, that talks about loyalty, duty, respect, honor, integrity, selfless service, and personal courage. But these were the values that he has been already instilling in all his children since early childhood. So the Army became a natural fit. I also like to thank my mother, who along with my father really pushed us, the children, into excelling, to achieve our personal best. And of course, always making sure that we're well fed with the best Vietnamese food. And that was kind of important. I also like to thank my mother and father-in-law, who are so supportive that they even moved from Connecticut to Virginia to help us manage our household. And I don't think my wife and I can really maintain both of our professional careers without them. I also like to thank my brother-in-law and his wife. I tell you, I was on a bus to Ohio with a bunch of middle school kids on a science competition, and it's on a Friday afternoon. I get a phone call that said, you need to get your bags packed because you're going to Haiti in 3 days. I'm like, how am I going to do that? I'm in Ohio on a bus. But Rhoda came over. She said, oh, she's with the FBI, and she traveled to all these austere environments at short notice all the time. I'll get what you need and pack for you. So I came home and everything was packed. So thank you, Rhoda. So at this time, I'd like to present flowers to my mom, my wife, my mother-in-law, and Rhoda. Katie? All right, so family is important to get us through the difficult times. But what really makes a career in the military so satisfying, there's probably many reasons, but I'm going to focus on just kind of one theme, and that's the people in the Army that you work with. Right? Now, Colonel Wheeler and Colonel Allison, I think, are the example of the finest that you ever encounter in this Army. They've been great friends, role models, and exemplary leaders. Of course, I hope Colonel Allison can forgive me for convincing him to move from a cushy life in the Air Force Reserve to join the more rigorous life in the Army. But the Army have greatly benefited from that transfer. And then, you know, I think to truly excel at your job, you have to have a boss and a leader who really inspires you to excel, and that's Colonel Wheeler. I mean, he is so great at pulling that out of us, and I'm so grateful for those two. And again, I think that's what makes the career so satisfying, is the people we work with. And thank you for our OTSG team that's in the audience too, and they've always been there for us. And I've been asked by strangers and by families and by friends about what I think of the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. You know, has the decade of fighting been worth it? You know, when do we actually really see the benefit? Well, I believe that what we're fighting for is a better world for our children. And I missed 3 of my children's birthday while I was deployed. But I actually had a flag flown on their birthday over Bastion, which is a multinational hospital in Helmand Province where I worked at. And so I'd like to present to them now. And this is really a reminder to them that there were many sacrifices in terms of life loss, in terms of long-lasting physical and emotional pain that many will carry on long after this war, you know, in order for them to have the security and the prosperity so that they too will have the opportunity to raise their children with a value, the same value of selfless service, integrity, and honor. So Stephanie, this flag was flown on your birthday. And Alexander, oh, actually, Andrew, can you come and help me? This flag was flown on March 16th. With this brass shield from Afghanistan. Now, this shield was actually made in Bamiyan, Afghanistan. So if you recall, in 2001, the Taliban blew up the giant Buddha there. Right? While this act symbolizes the oppression, this shield signified the opposite, since it came from that part of the world where freedom was once suppressed. So Andrew, this shield is a reminder that we have an obligation and duty to respond and protect those who are weak and oppressed. All right, Andrew.
Right now is an opportunity for anyone else who would like to make some remarks before we close the ceremony. Would anyone like to come up and say anything?
My calligraphy to memory of the ceremony of the promote to the rank of Colonel Dovanyan as an Army medical doctor to former year election on June 14, 2012.
All Army, former, past, present, will you please join me in the Army song? First to fight for our right and to build the nation's might as the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won and the Army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Sound off the cadence loud and strong. For where we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along.
Vâng.
Tôi là Nguyễn Văn Thuận, khóa 16 Đà Lạt. Hôm nay tôi đến dự lễ của cháu Đỗ Văn Nhẫn, con của ông Đỗ Văn Hạnh, khóa 18 Võ Bị, sắp ra Tôi rất hãnh diện có những đứa cháu như vậy.
Thưa Đại tá Đỗ Văn Nhẫn, xin trình bày cái cảm tưởng mà ông có mà có thể là tác động mạnh nhất đối với ông trong ngày hôm nay, cái ngày mà ông được thăng chức đại tá ở ngay tại căn cứ quân sự Fort Myers này.
Yes, I think as I mentioned before, it's a tough question and I often hesitate because there's probably many different emotions I'm feeling, but I think the key things that I'm feeling is really overwhelming gratitude towards my mom and dad because I don't think without them I would be here where I'm at.
Và thân mẫu của đại tá quân y Đỗ Văn Nhẫn đang đứng gần con và chắc có lẽ bà đã nghe được những lời của con nói, bà có thể lặp lại cho mọi người hiểu.
Dạ, dạ vâng, thì là cháu cũng có thể là nói được nửa tiếng Mỹ, nửa tiếng Việt. Tuy nhiên rằng cháu nói tiếng Việt cũng nhiều lắm nhưng mà cháu có lẽ là đang bị nervous. Cho nên cháu muốn nói rằng nếu mà không có ba má thì là chắc cháu không có được ngày hôm nay vì vậy. Cho nên là cháu nhớ ơn ba má, đúng vậy không con?
Dạ đúng.
Hi, how you doing there? I'm Joe Gamas. I was the Master of Ceremonies for Dr. Doe's ceremony. It's been a real honor. I've known Dr. Doe for a long time, and when Kim asked me while he was in Afghanistan to be the Master of Ceremony, I thought, what an honor, what a great man. So I really appreciate it. Had a great time, and he's got a beautiful family.
Hôm nay tôi rất vui được đi dự cái ngày của anh Đỗ Văn Nhẫn lên cấp đại tá của quân y quân lực Hoa Kỳ. Quân đội hùng mạnh nhất của thế giới và rất là đông quan khách Việt Mỹ đã đến tham dự và buổi lễ rất là long trọng và đó là một cái vinh dự lớn lao cho cái người Việt Nam của chúng ta.
I'm Dr. Doe's wife, and we're so thrilled that all of the Vietnamese community is here supporting this amazing event of Dr. Doe becoming a colonel, and we're so thrilled to just have many, many great friends and family members present here. He's a great man. He's a great individual. I'm so thrilled to be married to him for the past 18 years, and I just thank the Lord that He's brought me in with a great marriage and great family. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Sau 37 năm lưu lạc nơi xứ người, đặc biệt ở tại Hoa Kỳ, những người trẻ Mỹ gốc Việt gia nhập quân đội đã làm rạng danh và tiếp nối bước của cha ông để trở thành những sĩ quan tài năng trong quân lực của Hoa Kỳ. Thanh Trúc tường trình từ Washington.